Greetings. This is Timothy, and we are now meeting under a new moon in Cancer, the most of us, the second week of July 2018. And it is such a rich, exciting, charged period to be alive. And there is so much potential for radical change and innovation going on these summer months. And as you're probably experiencing, there can be a lot of ups and downs, with Mars coming to his closest point to the Earth, opposite to the Sun, red and bright and full of so much energy, so much excitement, desire to break free, initiate new directions, create changes, and radically revolutionize our lives, coupled with periods of overwhelming intensity and lethargy and exhaustion, and the desire to simply slow down or retreat and withdraw back into our shell or hide away from the world and all of the excitement that's going on. And so this is a period, this summertime has a lot to do with changing how we are handling our own energy, physical direction, sexuality, relationships. It's a summer of makeups and breakups and changes and transformations, and not just intimate relationships, work associates, partnerships, not just who we're connecting with, but how we are connecting and sharing ourselves with others. And so I don't know if many of you are flatlining these days or feeling bored. I might be a little concerned if you're at a flat line, because we are all connected to something that is bigger and greater than ourselves. And that bigger, greater macrocosm is going through an overdrive, an upheaval, and has the potential to exist and bring in new possibilities, a reality, a life that is better, that is different than how we've ever known it was possible to exist and live before. And so again, a total overhaul of relationships, of our own physical energy, drive, direction, sexuality, how we relate to our work, our business partnerships, what family and tribe and home truly means. And so this new moon in Cancer is technically a solar eclipse that will not only be introducing this forthcoming eclipse season and the forthcoming 6-month eclipse cycle, but also really foreshadowing the years to come, as the North Node will shift into the sign of Cancer this next November and remain there for the next year and a half. This partial solar eclipse can be introducing some of the themes which we will be addressing through the years to come. And these themes deal with security. Cancer is our own inner emotional security, what makes us feel safe in our own home, in our own immediate environment, as well as inside of ourselves. Cancer deals with emotional nourishment and nurturance and emotional safety. And we are creating changes in our lives so we can feel safer than we've ever had before. We are reprioritizing where we direct our energy, how we spend and relate to our resources, potentially making changes to the traditions, the rules, the regulations that we were taught, and how to bring safety into our lives, coming from the past, in order to bring in more physical safety and emotional well-being simultaneously, to feel more relaxed and at ease in ourselves, in our partnerships, and in our relationships, as well as keeping up with the duties, the responsibilities, and pressures of family, work, and the world. And so this Cancer-Capricorn polarity brings up these security needs. And Mars being retrograde these months, followed by Venus turning retrograde later in October, is this opportunity to completely, radically revolutionize our own direction, how we use and spend our energy and willpower, and share our resources and energy with others. And so Mars has been stationed retrograde the last week, several weeks, and Mars is now coming up to the moon's south node and will make a conjunction coming up this July 20th, and then oppose the sun July 27th. Mars coming up to the moon's south node can bring up themes from the past in terms of how we've related to our own physical energy, drive, sexuality. Themes of how our sexuality was conditioned in the past, how we were educated or not educated about gender, about relationship, about gender roles, about sexual roles, is going through this highly experimental phase so we can liberate our natural self-expression, how we channel our sexuality, as well as our true, unique desires, is what is going through this exploration. What do I need in order to feel autonomous, in order to feel confident, on my own, with sovereignty, protected and strong is Mars. And so we're really healing the masculine, Martian, sexual, animalistic desire, instinctual drive. Mars retrograde, we're looking at instincts. I react this way. Why did I react this way? I have this emotional feeling reacting. Why do I feel this way? Or why did I do this so instinctively? Why do I have this unconscious conditioning or this habit? And we can really be rolling back and following the trail of breadcrumbs back into the past, back into the early childhood experiences, the past life trauma that conditioned us to believe or restrict our sexual energy, physical drive, masculine willpower and strength in limited or oppressive or damaging ways that make us feel inadequate or anxious, like we're doing something wrong. And so sexuality, for example, everybody's going to have unique sexual desires. We may have different kinks and fetishes and tastes, and it's going to be different for every unique soul. And this will reflect our soul's nature. It will reflect a part of our natural innocence. That animalistic part of ourself is not a problem. The same way we don't look at the bull or the cat or the dog or blame them for having a body, for having sexual desires and needs. We will have unique, distinct sexual qualities. And it can be confusing. Why do we have these desires? Or the trauma that formed these coping mechanisms and how these coping mechanisms formed can be complicated, can be deep. And we're really looking at why and how we can embody these desires, how we can create a platform to safely actualize our individual, animalistic, sexual desires with other people, without it being damaging, without it being traumatic, without it being the end of the world. And this is where some of these new dimensional possibilities are being born. Jupiter is also stationing direct this second week of July at 13 degrees of Scorpio. So the fixed signs, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, are really getting shaken up these months. You want to look at degrees 0 through 15 of the fixed signs is what's particularly being looked at and being shaken up by Mars retrograde square to Jupiter. Jupiter stationing direct this month in Scorpio is introducing greater awareness of these deep, dark, murky, and complicated areas of the human existence. Scorpio is what's beneath the surface, what's taboo, what's fringy, what's complicated and easily misunderstood. Again, our sexual desires really being looked at this year. For example, Jupiter in Scorpio is the year where the Me Too campaign has taken off. Thank goodness. We're really collectively looking at, hey, what the heck's happened to our human sexuality? Why are all of these sexual abuse scandals coming to light? What has happened? Why does this exist? Why do these desires exist? Why are men this way? Why are women this way? And it's illuminating the bigger picture, as well as our own personal, individual, unconscious dynamics. Again, the past, early childhood conditioning has a lot to do with the sexual tendencies, how we handle our own intimacy with other people. It's not just sex stuff. Scorpio is also how we work intimately with others. We all create friction when we come together. We all have things that we like and don't like about each other. It gets complicated when we start to work intimately with others. In a romantic relationship, work associate, friendly associate, whatever. How do we address our deeper emotions that are real? This irks me. I like this. I'm attracted to this. I'm repulsed by this. These deeper unconscious attraction repulsions, we have a way of really illuminating right now and understanding this is what makes me tick on that deep unconscious level, and this is why. Being the detective of our own soul, now we get to explore these unconscious fears and phobias. And why am I so afraid of this? Why do I have these fears? So for example, it can be, I was very religiously conditioned to be afraid of sexuality. And now Mars retrograde in Aquarius square to Uranus, we're liberating that sexuality. We're letting the cat out of the bag. We're doing so many kinky things, and maybe our partners are helping us decondition the fear and the anxiety by allowing us to feel safe. We're creating new ways of channeling the sexual energy that makes us feel good in our body, makes us feel healthy. That balance between orgasm and not orgasm. What is really working for us? What makes us feel safe? What makes us feel empowered? Perhaps we were conditioned by certain taboos surrounding drugs. I have a severe anxiety disorder, but I was severely conditioned to see capsules and pharmaceutical drugs as the devil. And now I'm understanding that a little bit of synthetic help, when I need it, when I'm on the brink of an anxiety breakdown, maybe this can actually help me, and we're deconditioning that taboo surrounding drugs. Or maybe we've been helplessly relying on a pharmaceutical drug, and I'm afraid if I get off of this drug, bad things are going to happen. And we are learning that we actually don't need it, and that there are natural forms. Maybe we just need to have more sex. That takes care of the anxiety, so on and so forth. These are just examples, and it's layer after layer after layer off the onion. Me Too campaign is waking us up to the fact that masculinity does not know how to do healthy sexuality. Mars retrograde. Chiron stationed last week at 2 degrees of Aries, ruled by Mars. Masculinity. The physical drive, the sexual, instinctual, animalistic drive, as well as the urge and the desire for protection and assertion. The knight, the warrior, is going through a tremendous upheaval, a tremendous update. What does that actually mean? For example, for women to depend on man to be their protector, and for man to assume that it's our role to protect the women that need the protection and need to be asserted with a protective leadership, dominant alpha man, well, maybe men have to carry less of the burden on their shoulders, that they're the ones that are supposed to just protect and be the defenders. And we just sacrifice our own will and our own desires, and we don't get to feel safe because we're the knights that are protecting. And isn't it funny how that's actually disempowering to women? Because women are powerful. Women are warriors themselves. They can take care of themselves. And maybe men are learning to be a little bit more self-nurturing. New moon in Cancer, opposite to Pluto. We are dealing with a transformation of our own self-identity. What it means to be a father, what it means to be a mother, what it means to be a man, what it means to be a woman. What does family mean? What does tribe mean? What does emotional intimacy and connection mean? We have all been conditioned by particular societal beliefs, gender stigmas, role assignments that may prevent us from creating a deeper sense of what family actually is and what tribe actually means. So, for example, it is speculated that 8 10,000 years BC, mankind lived in a matriarchal situation. And perhaps women gave birth to children and it was miraculous. How did they do this? How are these children born? Women are like gods. And children were raised communally by the whole tribe. There was no such thing as nuclear families. Wouldn't that be almost unfathomable? What that society, what that world must be like, where everybody is a brother and sister. Everybody is a singular family and a tribe. Well, we're all missing and starved of this feeling of emotional family and tribe in this day and age. Not that there's anything wrong with the nuclear family. Not that the nuclear family has to be a negative thing in itself. But when we become imprisoned in particular boxes with particular people, and this is the only way to get connection, this is the only way to do intimacy, this is the only way to feel safe. Do we feel safe? Do we have this connection? Do we have this intimacy? Or is this part of the exploration now? And as we're exploring, as we're being willing to experiment and pioneer and explore through trial and error, make a million mistakes, try some things out with your sexuality, with your partner, with your relationship role. What happens? Do we feel safe or do we feel less safe? This is where the transformation is happening. This is where a new identity can be born. And what strength means, what success means, what safety means, what being a good mom and dad or a good friend or a good lover means, and what tribe and family means is being rewritten. So to get more family, more tribe, more emotional connection than what we've known was possible before. This Mars retrograde beginning in Aquarius is about separation. Separate from the relationships that don't work. Separate from the abusive dynamics. Put more space in between yourself and the group that does not reflect your values and your desires. And as we're exploring more layers off the onion, where is the root? Jupiter stationing direct in Scorpio. The roots are becoming more so unveiled. For example, Me Too movement. We are realizing that men's sexuality, we don't know. We're going through a huge healing period. Why? Because culturally and collectively, we have barely any sex education in this day and age. People are crawling out of the Victorian era. Many people are made to feel bad about their sexuality, their natural desires. They've witnessed traumatic things from their parents, so on and so forth, that has made us sexually confused. Mars is coming into an opposition with asteroid Pallas Athena, the goddess of wisdom, Saturday, July 21st. Sexual confusion. What's the truth? How do we create safety? How do I express my sexual desires? How do I feel playful? How do I reconnect with the inner child when I'm a man, when I've got to protect, when I've got to defend, when I've got to be grown up? Or how can I feel safe and playful when I'm a woman and I'm supposed to be the caretaker and I'm supposed to serve? And I'm supposed to be the one to fill in the gaps and be receptive, so on and so forth. Well, men are becoming more receptive. Women are becoming more powerful. We're playing, we're mixing, we're matching, we're experimenting. If you're dominant most of the time, maybe you want to be submissive in the bedroom and vice versa. And we're learning how to feel safe and playful and release these sexual needs in a day and age where there can be much sexual confusion, leading to overly militant masculine overcompensation. We're feeling guilty about our own internal needs and asserting ourselves outwardly with what we're supposed to do. This is what's getting worked out. Mars will also square asteroid Juno, the partnership asteroid, next week, the 16th. Independence and self-autonomy versus relationship. Unconditional loving service is where this is all going. You know, the roles that allow us to actually feel safe, the new ways of relating and nurturing ourselves that introduce new possibilities. But it's very much, what are my roles? What is my commitment? And how can I create changes that way I can feel healthy? Masculinity is healing itself. Masculinity exists in all people, in all genders, regardless of sexual gender or orientation. We are becoming protectors of ourselves. We are learning to stand up for what really matters, to be warriors and activists in a world that has forgotten good health. So for example, going back now to the third time for the Me Too movement, men's sexuality is messed up. Why are men abusers? Why do men find so much attraction to young women and all of these things? Well, there's roots. These things don't just happen because people are bad or evil or messed up. Why? And there are many reasons why, many cultural, social orientations. But I'll give one example of something I haven't heard mentioned so much that might be relevant. And that might be the all-pervasive masculine genital mutilation that is very common in this day and age and still very rarely talked about. The most sensitive part of the penis is forcibly removed upon birth. Botched circumcisions are very common. If removing the most sensual and feminine and safe-feeling part of the male physical anatomy is not going to have an effect on our sexuality, I don't know what will. And so that's just one small facet of a global greater thing, but it's something that we need to talk about. And how can we heal that feeling of safety and spaciousness and being able to be self-reliant in our own self-pleasure for men and women? Uranus is in Taurus. We are having the opportunity to create new ways of forming spaciousness for ourselves that extends to luxury, relaxation, food, comfort, money, resources. How can we feel more relaxed, more spacious, and more content by introducing new possibilities, new inventions, new discoveries that allow for these things to be done in ways we never knew was possible? Here's where the solutions are coming through. Here's where there's these gifts and these hidden blessings moving us into the future in loving and gentle and uplifting and inspiring ways. So all of this relationship tension, Mars retrograde, square to Jupiter, new moon in Cancer, opposite to Pluto. How can we access these hidden gems and treasures that, like sprouts bursting from above the surface, are starting to reveal this new fragrance, these new gifts, and these new possibilities moving into the future? Wow, that was a very long train. Speaking of Mars retro square to Uranus, patience is a virtue, yes? Because there's so much to do, so much to say, such little time. And again, this is an up, down, bumpy, should I stay or should I go? I love you, I hate you, let's come together, let's go away type of period. This Mars square to Juno is I need self-autonomy, but I want to work together. I need space, but I don't want to be isolated and feel alone. And so the beautiful part about these weeks is we have what so many people love to get excited about, a Star of David formation. 2 grand trines. This week, with this partial solar eclipse, we have a grand water trine between the Sun in Cancer, Jupiter stationing direct in Scorpio, Neptune in Pisces. This mystical wisdom holding us. We must surrender to the mother and allow for these plants to sprout up and for them to flow naturally into their new forms, into their new structures, into their new orientations. These fragrances are opening and being revealed from the flower as we allow ourselves to relax and tune in and surrender to these processes that are greater than ourselves and tuning into our emotional feelings. What that safety is, what that new tribe, that new family, that new container is. We are tuning into, like the trail of breadcrumbs, leading into ourselves, our heart, the Divine Mother, which has our back, which is always supporting us, leading us home. Next week, we have a grand Earth trine. So this is a Star of David in the feminine signs. This is a powerful, flowing, structured ground. By tuning in, we can really get anchored. Venus just moved into Virgo last week, July 9th, and will be in Virgo through mid-September. Venus is now coming up to asteroid Ceres, the mother asteroid, a minor planet in the asteroid belt that deals with the principle of nurturance and nourishment, very much similar to these themes of the solar eclipse in Cancer. Well, Venus and Ceres in Virgo can nourish, can nurture in tender, loving, serving, devoted ways. And this Venus in Virgo, this next month and a half, is really exploring, next 2.5 months, what are my roles in relationships that make me feel in my integrity, that makes me feel good, by aligning with what makes me feel true and pure. This is why I'm a human being. I am here to love and serve you in this way. But is it a burden? Is it a responsibility? No, it is our desire. When we discover our true human purpose, it is always some form of loving service rendered back to the collective. And is it a chore? Is it hard work? No, it's spontaneous, joyful, loving, easy, and effortless self-expression. And Venus in Virgo is going to refine this expression to what really makes us feel good, really makes us feel safe, and is introducing these new possibilities of doing relationship that feels pure, clean, simplified, and spacious. This Venus Ceres is trine to Uranus and Taurus, introducing these new dimensional possibilities of abundance, agriculture, resources, spaciousness, comfort. And asteroid Juno, the partnership asteroid, is now joined with Uranus, bringing in new visions of how we can do relationships that creates this anchor, this longevity, this stability, and this safety. So Ceres, Virgo, trine to Uranus, Juno, trine to Saturn in Capricorn is the capability to lay this new ground, explore this new foundation that guarantees more security, more longevity, and more space to breathe. And so even though it's up and down, even though the challenges are there, unplug, relax, surrender, and tune in. And that's where the Divine Mother, through your body, through your emotional feelings, will inform you from the inside out. This is your truth. This is who you are. And this is how we can create more safety, more emotional connection, and a greater sense, a truer sense of what real family and what real tribe is all about. So this is an exciting time to be alive. We're not going to fall asleep anytime soon. This is the beginning of eclipse season. We're going into an eclipse wormhole where the past and the future meets, and what needs to be let go of gets let go, and what needs to be brought in can come in. So allow for the snake shedding to happen. Allow for the experimentation to happen. This partial solar eclipse introduces the themes of the next 1.5 years. We don't have to have everything figured out right now. You probably don't know the solutions, don't know what the ideal ground, moral, relationship, foundation, code of ethics may be. Be willing to explore and experiment. Like breaking in a new pair of pants, a new pair of shoes, see what works and see what fits. And trust yourself. Be honest. Honesty is so crucial right now with Jupiter stationing. Get it all on the table. This makes me feel anxious. This makes me feel guilty. This makes me feel not safe. This makes me feel good. By getting it out, that's how the creative solutions and the new possibilities can be discovered. So you have to get the stuff out on the table before you know what the solution is. But don't be afraid. Don't worry. There's so much room for experimentation and eureka moments going on these next months. We can radically revolutionize our lives, our relationships several times over, and we will be different people by the time 2019 rolls in. This new moon is introducing this next month's eclipse season. The following lunar eclipse is the big eclipse of this period, Friday, July 27th, 4 degrees of Aquarius squared Uranus. So we're not finished radically reinventing ourselves and our lives. Get ready for more excitement, more unexpected changes, and more dimensional possibilities to come. So things may seem a little incongruent right now. New things coming in that don't totally make sense. Who is this person? What is this life? Is this really going to work? And this is how we break in this new pair of shoes. Just try it out, sample it out, develop that sense of taste for what you really like, and we can liberate ourselves and be more free, more spontaneous, more of who we authentically are, and be able to safely share that and connect with others on a similar wavelength, more so than we've ever known was possible before. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, but be prepared to loosen up and go with the flow and be open to these new possibilities, because yes, things can always get better. And there are always creative solutions. When it seems like we've met a dead end, that may just be your cue to settle down, breathe, take it with a grain of salt, and reapproach it when you feel a little bit more centered and energized in your own being. And so, I mean, I could just talk forever. We'll talk about Mercury retrograde at the end of this month next time, but I am so much wishing the best to yourself and your beloveds. I also need to mention, we have a great opportunity if you want to look more at these dynamics. Myself and 6 other renowned and talented astrologers have put together a course titled The Eclipse of the Heart. We're talking about Mars, Venus, Pluto, these eclipses, where they fall specifically in your chart, taking these planets through the houses. You're going to learn about the different planetary functions, as well as what's going on at this time, the changes, the potential is going on. And so if you're at all interested and excited by this period or want to learn more astrology, check out the Eclipse of the Heart workshop at the link below. This is the first week the workshop is going. We're doing it through Teachable for the first time, which is a go at your own pace platform. So you're going to get videos from each astrologer, worksheets. There's a live Q&A session. There's an online forum where you can post questions and have them directly asked by us. So it's a great opportunity to get a good amount of material that is relevant and useful. And I don't say that lightly. I'm excited to be doing that work. So check that out. We've got similar endeavors going on Patreon. We're forming our tribe and our community through this experimental nature. I'm trying to figure out how to get the forum online myself, how to get us more emotionally connected, and I want to sincerely thank you to my patrons. Thank you to all of those who have sent donations, who have supported me through this endeavor. You are helping me to do this, and I wouldn't be able to do this work without you. Next time I speak to you and do another weekly forecast, I should hopefully have a new video camera. So thank you again for all of those who are sending your support physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. It is an honor to be connected and working with you. And so thank you so much once again. And I look forward to connecting you the next time, whether it be through the internet, ethereally, on the astral plane, or in the flesh. Do take care. And I'm wishing the best to yourself as all of your tribe, family, and beloveds. Namaste.